Jonathan Conricus, who is the former IDF spokesperson, joins me right now. Many thanks to you, Colonel, for joining in. Thousands of rockets have been fired from Gaza. Palestinian fighters have captured Israeli soldiers, even civilians. They've crossed into Israel from the Gaza Strip. It's an unprecedented situation for Israel, something Israel's not experienced in decades. How do you weigh in on reports that this is a massive intelligence failure?
Well, hello, and thank you for having me. This is a very sad day in Israel and quite of a watershed moment. You're very correct in your analysis and your description of the situation. There's reality up until October 7th, and then there's reality after October 7th. For sure, there are many difficult questions that will be asked by Israeli civilians in communities around the Gaza Strip that the IDF, the government, the Internal Security Agency, the Israeli police will have to answer, and there will be consequences. The attack is unprecedented. The cruelty of the terrorists who infiltrated into Israel and massacred, executed Israeli civilians, women, elderly, and even children have been executed at point blank by jihadi Palestinian terrorists in their homes is unprecedented in terms of its scope, and so will also be the Israeli response. And an Israeli general said, and I think he said it very aptly, that Hamas has opened the floodgates of hell upon Gaza, and Hamas will bear the responsibility. And I hope that these are not words only used for bluster and for media. And I sincerely hope that the leaders of Hamas and all of their senior operatives will not see the light of day, and that Israel will take this opportunity to improve the security reality along our borders and not allow any other terrorist to embed themselves at our doorstep and repeat such an attack ever in the future.
Colonel Conricus, there's also the fear of a spillover right now, because going by what the Hamas commander has to say, he's going on to appeal to Hezbollah, to even other Islamic terrorist organizations operating out of Iraq, Syria, even Lebanon, that they all should galvanize and come to the rescue of all the Palestinians and help out Hamas in this Al-Aqsa flood operation that they have called. How do you weigh in on this potential spillover as an Arab conflict? Because remember, this is also ironically happening on the day of the Yom Kippur.
Indeed. So it's even worse than that, because in addition to Palestinians in Judea and Samaria, or as many refer to it as the West Bank, and in addition to Iran-sponsored terrorist organization Hezbollah in Lebanon, we also have the internal issue of Israeli Arabs. And my concern is the doomsday scenario would be a combined all-out effort by all of these three. Hamas and Islamic Jihad in Gaza, Palestinians in Judea and Samaria, Hezbollah in Lebanon, and Israeli Arabs who might be incited and try to take arms and fight against Israel. I definitely hope that will not become reality, but it is an option. It's an option that will be very dear in human life. And I hope that leaders in all of those said communities in Lebanon, in Judea and Samaria will opt out and not to pursue further escalation. That could be even more horrible than the situation is today. One last word. The country that stands to enjoy the fruits of the bloodbath is Iran. Iran is the world's largest supporter and sponsor of terrorism. I am sure that they are rejoicing in the spilling of Israeli blood, and I'm sure that they are happy that it appears as if the budding normalization and peace treaty between Israel and Saudi Arabia might be sidetracked by the brutal acts of one of their proxies of Hamas in Gaza. So when Israel retaliates, it will have to think and to take into consideration the bigger regional perspective, but also looking at Hamas and making sure that Hamas pays a price that sends a message to all of the terrorist organizations in the world who are currently watching. If you do this against Israel, you will not exist another day.
Absolutely, Colonel. I completely agree. When you talk about politics of Middle East and of the region today, what Israel is witnessing and experiencing is indeed a game-changing moment for the politics of the entire region. Having said that, when you talk about Israel's retaliation, there's fighting on for control of those infiltrated areas. That's currently ongoing. Residents are reported being still in these shelters without any security forces or medical staff to rescue them. How difficult is the situation for Israel at the moment, considering it was business as usual when this attack happened?
Yes, the situation is still dire, and you are very well updated on the situation, and you reflected correctly. We have still ongoing fighting inside Israel. There are still Israeli communities that have not yet been cleared of murdering terrorists. And that is the #1 priority. The IDF has dispatched dozens of infantry battalions and special forces down to the south in order to reinforce and to go door by door, house by house, capture or kill all of the terrorists and save the Israeli civilians. Once that will be established, then the focus of the IDF will be to reinstate the border fences and to make sure that the barrier is intact, and simultaneously starting to extract a price from Hamas. That will take time. It's not something that we will do in a matter of hours or days. We're looking at a complex, significant military operation that will influence all of Israel. Already for tomorrow, there are not going to be schools opened. Children are not going to go into schools all over Israel, north, south, central, and there is a mass mobilization of reserve forces that has been sanctioned by the Minister of Defense. And we are looking at an extremely severe and unprecedented situation.
Absolutely, it is, as there has already been a national emergency which has been declared. I do hope you stay safe. Many thanks to you, Colonel Jonathan Conricus, for joining us with your precious inputs here on CNN News 18.